Welcome, Ross Whitley here, talking weather discussion as we go throughout the rest of our week here on this Wednesday. We got the Arctic air coming back to the east and the lower 48, as well as the southeast, even including us here in the panhandle of Florida. But there's a lot going on across the country, not just here in the panhandle as well. And if you're tuning in for the third edition of Weather Wrap Up here, as we're going to start at least weekly discussions about what's going on weather-wise and across the U.S. and typical things that we need to be watching out for in the pattern evolving as going down. Obviously, the most interesting thing is the cold air right now, and then the next most interesting thing is going to be Christmas Day forecast, right? That's what everyone really wants to know is what is our Christmas going to shape up for? And we're starting to get those signals of what we're going to get, and at least we do have a forecast in the system now, so we can at least plausibly see Christmas Day. Now, what's actually going to be happening on that day, still way too far out to actually know if we're going to see any kind of precipitation or if it's going to be really cold or really warm, but we're getting signals. So we'll talk more about that in a second. Let's dive right into what we've got going on. You can see the surface map here across much of the US, and I'm not sure if I just messed that up or not, but we're going to go over to our analysis here. So I'm going to click on and I'm going to work in this space. So if we're not paying attention to the monitor, it's because I'm working over in the space over here, so you can see in that frame of reference that's off there what we're talking about, what we got going on. So we got a big cold front here that has pressed up against the East Coast. You can see our Arctic front also working its way on through. That has really been the reason for all of the wind today along that Arctic front and boundary. So basically the pressure gradient between these two fronts, that's what's caused all the wind. So as we go through the rest of tonight, the rest of this evening, really through the rest of our Wednesday, we'll see the wind settling down for much of this area. That's going to be because high pressure that is over here is going to be taking control and moving in. But it's all about the cold air that's out there right now at the moment. And there's plenty of it. As we go over to our temperatures here, we'll show you, yeah, that's some really Arctic air that's plunging basically this way. And that's going to be the case with much of the Arctic air masses that are coming up, as opposed to something that is pointed like that, which is really what brings some big time cold to the deep south, is you want that Arctic air to kind of work across the intercontinental here and work down that way and then kind of slide east into our area. Anytime it's pointed more toward the mid-Atlantic, we're just going to see glancing blows across the southeast. So that basically means what you got right here is going to give us maybe a day or two as we're right on the base of the trough. But the pattern that's coming up is actually going to take these high pressure systems and work them like this and then set them up basically right here. And what that does is, while it is not going to be driving down really cold air, it is going to be driving down the air mass that's up here, running it across the Atlantic, and then diving it into the southeast. So that will keep somewhat dry air around. It will moderate the air mass, allowing us to warm up in the afternoons. But the daytime highs, they'll be closer to our average, and our overnight lows as we come into this period going forward, they're going to be cool. They're not going to be quite to our average, but they're going to be cool down to the low and mid 50s, so it won't feel too bad, even as we do have a warm up. And if this high pressure system, say, had slid further off to the south and east, we'd be talking about some really warm temperatures heading our way, but that's not the case. So this high pressure system that is in control up here, that's going to be sliding that way and doing so pretty quickly. So we should see things warm up pretty quickly as we're going forward as well. So that is the good news. The bad news is we got some cold air to get through, and tonight we're going to see frost all the way to the coast. And if you're wondering what coastal areas are, I always get asked questions, where is the coastal areas when I'm talking coastal versus inland? Well, the coastal areas is just that narrow strip about 5 to 10 miles from the coast inland, or on the north side of the base. You can see that here by the National Weather Service, where they define coastal areas and how they're warning coastal areas, because we have frost advisories for coastal Walton, coastal Bay, coastal Gulf, and coastal Franklin County. Now, I say coastal 4 times fast. That's actually kind of hard to say. But what this means is the wind is going to settle down overnight tonight, and that is going to allow some frost to develop for our coastal communities. So if you got vegetation that you want to save and you live near the coastline, you haven't had frost really take out the things just yet, Tonight might be that case. We're only going to see those temperatures drop into low to mid 30s. But as we do go forward, we are going to see some changes. So speaking of those changes, let's look at the futurecast here. We got the big cold front that just swung on through. There's our high pressure system sliding up into the northeast. You can see how that is still wedging in that cooler air, especially in the overnight hours. But we'll see those daytime highs warming up. We'll have a weak boundary coming through on Sunday that might squeeze out a shower, but overall we're going to see the dry air in place probably win that battle. So I think we'll stay dry on Sunday. And then another weak boundary coming in as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday. This will be a weak boundary in the terms of precipitation because once again it's going to be running into dry air, but it will be a stronger boundary helping to force some colder air down. Now how that actually pins with the next short wave, which will be coming behind it Thursday and Friday. Now the GFS shown here shows a much weaker system. A stronger system may actually bring us some rain at the end of next week, and it will help to at least temporarily shove some colder air back to us as we head toward the end of next week going into the weekend. And of course, that is just before Christmas, which is what I was talking about here. So as we look at this map, the setup as we have for Christmas or going in, we got our low pressure system here. This is a long way off, but you can see the colder air is driven in maybe the weekend before, and we get a big high pressure system that slides probably toward the mid-Atlantic. And that probably sets up the same kind of wedge system. So the coldest air may arrive the 22nd or 23rd, and then we probably moderate toward Christmas. So right now, I think Christmas Day is probably looking relatively nice with lows starting out in the 40s and daytime highs in the mid 60s. So the weather not looking too bad for Christmas Day. I don't think it's going to be cold. I don't think it's going to be warm. I think it might be actually somewhat near the average. Now we are going to be timing out between two air masses that will be cold, and I think that colder air is coming back for the beginning of January. Think the setup we had for the start of December, I think we're going to see a similar setup at the end of December going into the beginning of January, which may actually bring us some significant cold. Once again, I can kind of see the setup starting to take shape. So if it gets delayed, we might be talking about the second week of January before that real cold air starts to come down. But I think we are going to see it at some point in time in January once again. So I don't think we're done with our cold snaps, and I think we got several more to go as we go throughout this winter. We may be graced with quite a few cold shots this winter, but it won't be like that all winter long because it is a La Nina winter. La Nina will impact this winter. So we will see some shots of warmer air, and we will see a sustainably more stable warm pattern. Whether that actually results in warm air staying consistently or cold air staying consistently, we'll see. And the same thing on the storm track. We'll kind of see how that goes. But a little bit of changes in the forcing can really cause a whole lot of headaches as far as the long-term pattern. That's why I say don't really buy into the long-range stuff whenever you're looking at it online. Even when I'm talking about it, we're talking about pattern. We're really giving you an idea of what may come based on the signals that we see. It's really not a forecast. Especially as we get beyond about 7 to 10 days, because we just don't know. We don't know how these things are going to come together. We don't know how this energy is going to phase. And that is such a long time frame out. The errors get magnified. So the cold air may not actually exist, and we can't see that now. Or it can be the opposite. The cold air will exist, and we don't know that yet. So all those things can be true, which is why long-range forecasting is something that you take with a oh, it's interesting, not something that you take as, yeah, this is definitive. But I am seeing signals for some cooler air just before Christmas. I think Christmas Day may be right around our average, and then maybe some colder air behind Christmas. We'll see how that times out for our Christmas Day, whether we have rain or not. Who knows? Again, we're still way too far out on that. We'll probably start to give a little more details as we get to about 8 days out. That's when we'll start to get into that frame of reference where we can pick out some bigger details. But if you're a cold weather fan, if you are Team Cold Christmas, there is still hope for you. If you are Team Warm Christmas, there's also hope for you. It is starting to fade closer to the colder, or at least to average as far as the signals go. But we could see that trend reverse in the next couple of days. But if that's going to happen, we will start to see that trend toward warmer, not colder. So the trends will tell us where we're headed over the next couple of days, giving us a better idea, and then we can start to pick out details. Well, that's going to do it for the weather wrap up. For our Wednesday, check back in on YouTube on Friday. We'll have another weather wrap up. We'll be talking weekend weather and things to come as we go into next week. And we're going to start expanding topics as well. We're going to do a little more videos. So let me know if you want kind of topics you want to talk about. I think I may do a winter weather outlook. We may go back and talk about some of the stuff that happened throughout the year, especially across our area. We had the January 9th tornadoes. We had 4 hurricanes get very near us. So we might do a weather recap to end the year as well. But if there's something interesting that you want to see or you want me to talk about for our area or not in our area, maybe just pertaining to weather in general, let me know. Put it down into the comments and we'll start letting the wheels turn and crank out on that one.